The rain had just stopped over the New Geneva spaceport. When Aaron Cole stepped out of the diplomatic shuttle, the air smelled fresh and sharp, washed clean by the downpour, and the great towers of the capital gleamed silver in the morning sun. Around him, hundreds of travelers moved with quiet urgency. Some carried slim cases of data. Others hauled small cargo crates, and a few stood near the large viewing panels, staring at the rising arc of the Earth's ring stations far above the clouds. Aaron did not stop to look. His steps were steady, his back straight, and his eyes fixed on the long corridor ahead. In his right hand, he carried a small metal case, polished to a dull shine. It was not heavy, but the way his fingers wrapped around its handle made it clear that whatever was inside was valuable. Two uniformed escorts waited for him near the transport gate. They saluted with crisp movements, then led him toward a secure transit platform. A slender, humming energy barrier enclosed the platform, and beyond it, the great silver and blue shuttle that would take him far away from Earth awaited. Its wings curved upward like a bird in mid-flight, and its hull bore the seal of the Terran Diplomatic Corps. Aaron knew this flight would not be like any of his previous assignments. This was not a trade negotiation or a resource treaty. This was a summons, an order to appear before the Galactic Council itself. The message had arrived 2 weeks earlier, carried by a courier drone from the Council's headquarters on Valon Prime. The words were polite, but the meaning behind them was not. Earth was being called to answer for a long list of accusations. The case in his hand contained everything he needed for this meeting. It had taken years to gather the data stored within years of patient observation, careful collection, and quiet preparation. Most people on Earth had no idea how tense the situation had become between humanity and certain council members. But Aaron knew. He had been stationed on alien worlds, listening to whispers and watching patterns in trade shipments, fleet movements, and political statements. The picture that had formed was clear, and it was not a comforting one. As the shuttle doors sealed and the interior lights warmed to a soft gold, Aaron settled into his seat. The escorts took their places nearby, their expressions unreadable. Outside, the view shifted from the gleaming city to the deep blue curve of Earth, then to the black sea of space. The shuttle's engines gave a low, smooth vibration as it left the planet behind. The journey to Valon Prime would take 6 days. Through the folded space network, Aaron used the time to review his material. The data files opened in silent holographic displays above his desk. They showed records of intercepted transmissions, maps of disputed territories, and lists of human colonies attacked over the past decade. Some attacks had been open and direct, others hidden under the cover of piracy or natural disaster. But the patterns were there for anyone willing to look closely enough. On the 4th day, Aaron stood by the wide viewport at the rear of the passenger deck. The stars drifted slowly beyond the window, their light bending slightly as it passed through the folded space corridor. He thought about the council chamber, how its high ceilings and tiered seating made even the tallest species appear small. He remembered the echo of voices there, the way the light refracted through the crystal panels, and the quiet pressure that came from knowing you were speaking for your entire planet. This time, he suspected the pressure would be even greater. When the shuttle finally dropped back into normal space near Valon Prime, the planet filled the view like a great blue pearl wrapped in white clouds. Towering space elevators rose from its surface to meet massive orbital rings. Around the rings, hundreds of vessels moved in careful patterns: freighters, diplomatic shuttles, and the sleek patrol craft of the Council Guard. The traffic was controlled, silent, and precise. The shuttle slid into one of the orbital docks with practiced ease. As the docking clamps locked in place, a formal announcement rang through the cabin, welcoming the delegation from Earth. Aaron closed his files and slid them back into the case. The time for preparation was over. A team of tall, silver-skinned attendants waited for him in the docking bay. Their movements were graceful, their words soft and perfectly measured. They guided Aaron through the curving halls of the station toward a large transport capsule. The capsule dropped smoothly toward the planet's surface, carrying them through thick clouds and into the bright light of the capital city below. Valon Prime's capital was unlike anything found on Earth. Its streets were broad ribbons of pale stone that glowed faintly in the sun. Buildings rose in elegant curves, their walls made of glass like crystal that shifted in color depending on the time of day. Gardens filled the spaces between structures, their plants chosen from dozens of worlds, some with leaves like silver fans, others with flowers that shimmered in the air without stems. The council hall stood at the city's heart, a structure of such scale and beauty that it seemed to belong in a story rather than in reality. Its outer walls formed a series of overlapping arcs, each inscribed with symbols representing the member species of the council. Above it, a dome of transparent crystal revealed the pale blue of the sky. As Aaron approached, the air felt cooler, the sound of the city dimming as though the building itself commanded silence. The wide steps leading to the main entrance were lined with guards from different worlds, each wearing the colors of their own homeworld, each standing at perfect attention. Inside, the chamber was vast. Tier upon tier of seats rose in a great circle around a central speaking platform. Each seat was occupied by a representative of a council world, their varied forms a display of the galaxy's diversity. Some were tall and thin, with skin like polished stone. Others were short and broad, with scaled faces and deep, unreadable eyes. Still others floated in sealed spheres of liquid, their voices translated through soft mechanical tones. At the highest tier, beneath a great arch of silver crystal, sat the council speaker. Varan's body caught the light like a sculpture made of frozen water, and his many-faceted eyes reflected every movement in the chamber. His voice, when it came, rang like a clear bell across the hall. Representative Aaron Cole of Earth. Varan said, "You have been called here to answer for your world's actions in the matter of the Drellin asteroid and other disputes under council law. You will speak, and the council will listen." Aaron stepped forward onto the central platform. The faint hum of the translation field surrounded him, ready to carry his words into every ear in the room. He placed the metal case on the stand before him, his hand resting lightly on its handle. His expression was calm, but his eyes swept the chamber with quiet precision, noting who leaned forward, who looked away, and who met his gaze without flinching. The chamber waited. Aaron took a slow breath. The long journey, the years of gathering evidence, the careful patience, all of it had led to this moment. And he was ready. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the council speaker lifted a crystal scepter from the stand before him. The motion was slow, deliberate, and it brought every sound in the hall to silence. Even the quiet hum of translation devices seemed to fade. Varan's voice carried with perfect clarity, his tone calm but edged with weight. "Representative of Earth," he began, "you are present under summons to respond to formal charges laid by the member states of this council. These charges are recorded in accordance with our shared law, recognized by your own leaders upon entry into the Union of Worlds." From the row to Varan's left, a tall figure with metallic green skin rose from his seat. His narrow eyes glimmered in the chamber light. "I am Atrax of the Jalin Union," he said. "Our claim is simple. Earth seized resources from the Drellin asteroid without consent. This is not a disputed boundary. It is Jalin territory. The council must decide the consequence of such a breach." Another representative stood, this one with long silver hair that moved like strands of water. "I am Salari of the Mirror's Dominion. Our traders report aggression from human patrol craft in neutral space. Convoys have been turned away, routes blocked. These actions harm the flow of fair commerce." From across the chamber, a heavier voice joined in. The speaker was a wide-shouldered being with skin marked in black stripes, his deep-set eyes fixed on Aaron. "We of the Royal Confederacy have seen human mining fleets operate beyond agreed limits. They extract without respect for council allocation." As each voice rose, the list of accusations grew longer. Some were about territory, others about trade, and still others about alleged interference with diplomatic envoys. The words were measured, wrapped in formal speech, but their meaning was sharp. Earth was being painted as reckless and untrustworthy. Aaron listened without interruption. His hands rested lightly on the metal case before him, and his eyes shifted from speaker to speaker. He did not frown. He did not let impatience show. He knew every charge had been prepared to create a certain picture in the minds of the listening worlds. Vron allowed the final representative to finish, then set the crystal scepter back on its stand. The floor recognizes the gravity of these claims, the speaker said. Representative of Earth, you may now address the council. The chamber's focus turned toward the central platform. Dozens of alien eyes watched, some curious, others cold. Aaron felt the weight of their attention, but he had expected this moment. His voice was steady when he spoke. Honored members of the council, he began, I have heard the charges against my people. You speak of boundaries crossed, of trade disrupted, of agreements set aside. I will not deny that our actions have been seen as bold, but I ask you to consider why these actions took place. A faint ripple of movement passed through the nearest rows of delegates. It was unusual for an accused party to begin not with defense, but with a question. Aaron continued. You speak as though Earth acts without cause. You speak as though we seek gain without respect for law. Yet my people have been patient. 4 years. We have abided by council rulings even when they cut our own growth. We have honored treaties, even when they left our colonies at risk. And we have trusted that the rules you uphold are the same for all worlds. His gaze moved slowly around the circle of seats, pausing at certain faces. But trust has limits, and patience does not last forever. The words were simple, but their tone was not the tone of someone on trial. There was no plea in them, only a statement of fact. Some representatives leaned back, surprised by his calmness. Others shifted in their seats, sensing that the human envoy was not here to beg for understanding. Vron tilted his crystalline head. Representative Cole, he said, are you suggesting that the charges brought before this council are without merit? Aaron allowed a small pause before answering. I am suggesting, he said, that the charges you hear today are only a fraction of the truth, and without the whole truth, no fair judgment can be made. Several voices murmured at this, but Aaron's tone did not change. He stepped away from the stand, circling the central platform slowly, speaking with quiet precision. You claim that the Drellin asteroid was seized without consent, yet records in this case show no mention of the repeated Jalan patrol raids on human colonies in the adjacent sector. These raids destroyed equipment and delayed development for years. He turned slightly, addressing another row. You speak of blocked trade routes. Yet those routes carried mirror surveillance craft disguised as merchant ships. They entered human space without clearance, recording details of our defense networks. He shifted again, facing the royal representative. You speak of extraction beyond allocation. Yet it was RAL survey teams that marked human claim zones as their own, erasing our claims from the shared map database. These actions were not accidents. The murmuring in the chamber grew louder now, and Vron raised the scepter once more for order. Aaron returned to the stand and rested his hand on the metal case. His voice remained even. I did not come here to trade accusation for accusation, he said. I came here to place before this council the record of the past decade. It is a record of attacks, thefts, and deceptions aimed at my people. Some of you knew of these events, some perhaps did not, but all of you should know now. The case gave a soft mechanical click as he unlocked it. No one in the chamber moved. The air seemed to hold still, as though the building itself was listening. Aaron did not open the case yet. He let his hand rest on it as he looked to Vron. Before I show what is inside, he said, I ask one question. If another member world brought you such a record, if you saw proof of years of quiet harm against them, would you still judge them guilty for protecting themselves? The question hung in the chamber. No one answered at once. Some representatives glanced at their aides. Others watched Aaron closely, as though trying to read more in his words than he had spoken. Vron's voice was calm when it returned. Representative Cole, the council will see the evidence you carry, but you must understand that the charges here are serious. If your proof does not support your claim, Earth will be required to submit to sanction. Aaron met the speaker's many-faceted eyes, without hesitation. Then let us proceed, he said. The chamber settled into silence again. The formal weight of the moment pressed against every wall and every tier of seats. Outside the great crystal dome, The bright sky of Valon Prime shone clear and calm inside. The stage was set for what Aaron knew would change the Council's view of Earth forever. A quiet hum spread through the chamber as Aaron pressed a small key on the metal case. The lid rose with smooth precision, revealing a compact holographic projector nestled inside. The device was made of polished alloy, its surface etched with the emblem of the Terran diplomatic corps. Aaron lifted it gently and placed it on the stand before him. The moment his hand moved away, the projector came to life. A thin column of light shot upward, then expanded into a three-dimensional map that hovered in the air above the platform. The map was unlike anything the chamber had seen in a standard hearing. It did not show only borders and territories. Instead, it displayed a network of star systems, each point of light connected by faint silver lines. Around certain systems, small red rings pulsed in slow rhythm. This, Aaron said, his voice calm but carrying across the hall, is the record of human settlements beyond Earth's immediate region. Over the past decade, each red ring marks a colony that has been attacked. Gasps and low murmurs rolled through the tiers of seats. Aaron raised his hand, and the hologram zoomed toward one of the red-ringed systems. The image sharpened into the detailed surface of a small desert moon. This is Vega Outpost 4. Aaron continued. 8 years ago, it was struck by armed raiders. Official reports listed the attackers as unidentified pirates. But our records, with a gesture, he called up a new layer of data. The hologram shifted to display sensor logs, communication transcripts, and grainy images of ships leaving the moon's orbit. The ships carried the distinct triangular hull design of the Jalan Union. Our investigation showed that these vessels belonged to the Jalan Patrol Fleet, Aaron said. The patrol logs submitted to the Council omit this mission entirely, but the date, time, and vessel codes match our evidence. Several eyes turned toward a tracks of the Jalan Union. His metallic green face remained still, but the tips of his fingers tapped slowly against the edge of his seat. Aaron moved the map to another red-ringed system. This one displayed a lush world with wide rivers and thick forests. Here's Haven 3. Aaron said, 6 years ago, a convoy of human transport ships was halted in orbit. They were inspected without cause, their cargo seized. The ships used by the inspectors matched the registry of the Mirror's Dominion. He brought up another set of logs, showing the Mirror ships docked to the human transports. Faint lines of translated communication scrolled beside the image, showing demands for access codes and storage hold numbers. Salari of the Mirror's Dominion leaned forward in her seat, her silver hair catching the chamber's light. She opened her mouth to speak, but Aaron continued before she could interrupt. These are not isolated events, he said. They form a pattern of targeted pressure against human colonies and trade. With another command, the hologram zoomed out, showing the entire star map again. Now the red rings were joined by faint golden arrows, pointing from the worlds of the offending species toward the human territories they had targeted. The image looked like a slow, steady encroachment, a quiet war fought without open declaration. Over the last 10 years, Aaron said, we have documented 23 confirmed incidents of direct interference. We have reason to believe there are more that remain hidden in falsified records. These actions have cost us resources, delayed our expansion, and placed our people at risk. His tone never rose, yet every word was sharp and measured. Aaron turned toward the council speaker. When my people first joined this union, we believed that membership meant equality. We believed that the rules were the same for every world. We placed our trust in that promise. But the evidence before you shows that while Earth followed the law, others used the law as a shield to hide their own violations. The chamber fell quiet, the kind of quiet that did not come from peace but from tension. Some representatives stared at the map, others glanced at their neighbors as if weighing what they had just learned. Aaron changed the display again. The map vanished, replaced by a timeline. Small icons marked each incident in order. As the icons lit one by one, a short holographic replay showed the event ships arriving, convoys halted, stations disabled. Each replay lasted only seconds, but the steady rhythm of them gave the impression of a relentless campaign. In every case, Aaron said, "We filed reports through the proper council channels. In most cases, the reports received no reply. In others, we were told there was not enough evidence to act, and so we began to gather more. We listened, we watched, and we waited." He stepped away from the stand now, letting the light from the projector fall across the chamber walls. "We waited because we hoped the council would recognize the truth on its own. We waited because we wanted to believe that fairness still held a place here." Aaron stopped and looked across the rows of delegates. His gaze moved slowly from tier to tier. "But waiting has a cost, and my people have paid it for too long." For a long moment, no one spoke. The holographic images hung in the air like frozen scenes from a memory too large to ignore. Finally, Vron leaned slightly forward. The light caught in his many-faceted eyes, scattering in a dozen tiny reflections. "Representative Cole," the speaker said, "this evidence is substantial. Yet you must know that the council will require verification from independent sources." Aaron inclined his head. "Of course," he said. "I have brought the complete data sets, including original timestamp files, sensor logs, and witness accounts. I am prepared to release them to your investigation teams." Vron's voice carried no change in tone. Yet there was a slight pause before his next words. "The council acknowledges receipt of this record," he said. "However, the charges against Earth still stand until review is complete. You may continue your statement." Aaron returned to the stand and placed his hand lightly on the projector. The case's lid rested open beside it, revealing a second device inside a smaller, darker object with a sealed port, the record. "You have seen is the past," he said. "What I will show you next is the present." The chamber stirred at that, but Aaron did not elaborate. His voice remained calm, his movements unhurried. "The council should understand," he continued, "that while we brought this evidence here, we did not come empty-handed in other matters. My people are not blind to the risks of waiting for justice." He let the sentence settle in the air, then powered down the hologram. The chamber's light returned to normal, but the image of the red rings and golden arrows seemed to linger in the minds of every delegate. Somewhere in the upper tiers, a representative whispered to their aide. In another row, the delegates from neutral worlds exchanged a brief, sharp glance. Even those who had remained still throughout the presentation could not hide the subtle shift in their posture. Aaron closed the metal case with a soft click. "The council has now seen what we have seen," he said. "The question is no longer whether Earth can defend its actions. The question is whether the council can defend its silence." The silence that followed was deep and unbroken. Outside, the crystal dome, the bright sky of Valon Prime remained unchanged. Inside, the balance in the room had tilted. Aaron stood on the central platform, the closed metal case resting beside him. The evidence had been shown. The chamber had seen the map, the timeline, and the connections. Every delegate knew now that Earth had not acted without cause. But proof alone was not the end of his task. He let the silence stretch for a moment, not to provoke, but to give the weight of the evidence room to settle. When he spoke again, his tone was even, but his words were chosen with care. "Honored members of the council," Aaron said, "the record I have presented is not a complaint. It is not an appeal for sympathy. It is a statement of fact. My people have been targeted for years, and we have endured it without striking back. That time is over." The words carried across the chamber without haste or force, but they had an edge that made several delegates shift in their seats. Aaron stepped away from the stand, walking slowly toward the edge of the platform so he could see the faces in the lower tiers more clearly. When Earth joined this union, we accepted rules designed to protect all worlds. We believed those rules would be upheld without favor. We did not expect that some would follow them only when it suited their purpose. He paused, then continued. "A young world, as we were called, learns quickly. We have learned that strength without justice is fear, and law without equality is only another form of control. My people will no longer allow their growth to be shaped by those who break the very agreements they demand we follow." From the far side of the chamber, a delegate with translucent wings raised a hand. "Are you declaring withdrawal from the council?" Aaron turned toward the questioner. "No," he said. Earth is not withdrawing. We are remaining as a full member, but we will not remain silent when wronged. We will act to protect our people whether the Council chooses to recognize that. Right or not, the calm certainty in his voice left no space for misunderstanding. He returned to the stand, opened the case again, and removed the smaller sealed device he had mentioned earlier. Its surface was smooth, dark, and without markings, except for a single circular port. This, Aaron said, is linked to our current defense network. It carries a direct connection to every fleet command Earth has deployed beyond our home system. Several delegates leaned forward, their expressions tightening. Aaron placed the device carefully on the stand. For the last 3 years, our fleets have moved quietly into position across multiple sectors. You may not have seen them because they did not enter the main routes. They traveled a long way through unmonitored space, and they waited. They are not here to attack without cause. They are here to ensure that no harm will come to our people again without answer. A ripple of whispers moved through the chamber. The council speaker raised the crystal scepter for silence, but the air felt heavier now. Aaron continued, "These fleets carry no intention of war against peaceful worlds, but they will respond to aggression. If another colony is struck, if another convoy is halted without reason, if another boundary is crossed without agreement, the fleet nearest to that location will act." A voice from the upper tiers spoke sharply, "You are threatening the member states of this council." Aaron's gaze turned toward the voice, but his tone did not change. "I am stating the policy of my people. The choice is yours whether that policy will ever be tested." He let the statement rest in the stillness of the chamber. "This is not about revenge," he said after a moment. "It is about ending a pattern that should never have begun. We do not wish for conflict. We wish for fairness, and we will protect that fairness ourselves if the council will not." From his seat, Varon studied Aaron with stillness that was almost unsettling. The crystalline facets of his face reflected the chamber light and thin shards. "Representative Cole," he said, "your words are direct. You must understand that they will be heard by some as an attempt to unsettle the balance of this union." Aaron met the speaker's gaze. "If the balance of the union is built on unequal treatment," he said, "then it should be unsettled. The purpose of this body is to protect all members, not to shield some from the consequences of their actions." No delegate interrupted him now. The earlier murmurs had faded. Replaced by quiet attention, Aaron could feel the shift in the air. He was no longer being heard only as a defendant in a case, but as the voice of a power that could not be ignored. He placed his hand on the sealed device once more. "I will deliver this evidence and this message to the Council Security Office before I leave. You may verify every part of it. You may check the movements of our fleets for yourself. What you will see is readiness, not aggression." He closed the case again, the sound of the latch clicking echoing faintly in the large chamber. "My people have given much to be part of this union," he said. "We have shared our technology, our resources, and our knowledge freely in return. We have asked only for the same respect given to every other member. We have not received it. That changes today." Aaron stepped back from the stand, letting his final words carry without rush. "From this day, the safety and dignity of Earth's people will not depend on permission. It will depend on our own strength. You may call it a warning if you wish. I call it a statement of survival." He did not bow or lower his head. He simply stood still, the case at his side, waiting. The chamber remained silent for several long seconds in the high tiers. A few delegates exchanged hushed words with their aides. Others sat motionless, their eyes fixed on Aaron. No one moved to dismiss him, and no one challenged the statement outright. Varon finally raised the scepter again. "The council acknowledges your words," he said. "We will consider them along with the evidence you have provided. This hearing will continue." But Aaron knew the tone of the room had shifted. He had come not to plead, but to declare. Whether they admitted it or not, the council now understood that Earth's voice would not fade into the background again. As the light in the chamber brightened slightly, to signal the next stage of discussion, Aaron rested one hand lightly on the metal case and let his gaze sweep across the assembled worlds. He had made his statement. Now he would see how the galaxy chose to answer it. The chamber's air felt heavier now, The delegates spoke in low tones with their aides, but their voices carried no warmth. Aaron could see the shift in their eyes. Some looked thoughtful, others wary, and a few seemed quietly unsettled. Vron tapped the crystal scepter once against its stand. The council has heard the statement from the representative of Earth, he said. We will now hear from the investigative board regarding current reports related to human fleet movements from the lower tier. A pale, long-limbed official rose. She wore the dark uniform of the council's security division and carried a slim data tablet. Her voice was calm, but the way she held the tablet suggested she was aware of the attention focused on her. Our scans and long-range reports. She began. Confirm the presence of multiple human fleet groups in sectors far from their declared patrol areas. These fleets are equipped with high-range drives and fully stocked support vessels. They are positioned near the borders of several member states, including the Jalan Union, the Mirror's Dominion, and the Raal Confederacy. Murmurs spread quickly through the tiers. Some delegates turned to stare at their neighbors, others sat, more rigidly, their expressions guarded. The official continued. At least 4 fleets have been recorded in close proximity to major trade lanes. One group is currently within 2 jumps of the Mirror's home system. Another is near a Jalan military depot in the drone sector. Itrax of the Jalan Union rose from his seat, his metallic green face rigid. This is a direct provocation, he said. No member state should place war fleets so near another without council consent. Aaron's gaze shifted toward him. We have placed them there with the consent of survival. He replied evenly, your fleets have operated near our colonies without council consent for years. We have simply learned from your example. Salari of the Mirror's Dominion leaned forward. And are we to believe, she asked, that these fleets will remain idle? That they will not act unless given cause? You may believe what you wish, Aaron said. But the truth is simple. They will act only if we are harmed. If you do not strike us, you have nothing to fear from them. The security official looked to Vron, as if seeking permission to continue. The speaker gave a small nod. Our analysis shows, the official said, that the human fleets have also established hidden supply points in neutral zones. These caches contain fuel, repair materials, and defensive equipment. The placement of such resources indicates preparation for sustained operations far from home space. Another murmur swept the chamber, this one sharper than before. For many worlds, such preparation meant readiness not just for defense, but for prolonged conflict if required. Aaron stepped forward. I will not deny this, he said. Yes, we have prepared. We will not again find ourselves pleading for help that arrives too late. Our fleets are not there to provoke. They are there to make sure no attack against us goes unanswered. No matter where it occurs. From the upper tiers, a voice spoke with slow precision. Earth is changing the balance of this galaxy. You are telling us, in clear terms, that you can strike anywhere. Aaron met the unseen speaker's gaze. I'm telling you that we can protect our people anywhere. He said, the choice of whether that protection becomes action lies with those who would harm us. Vron remained silent, his crystal-like features unreadable. Around him, the council members weighed Aaron's words, some with suspicion, others with reluctant understanding. The security official set down her tablet. There's one more matter, she said. We have intercepted encrypted human transmissions. In the past month, they appear to be coordinated between fleet groups positioned in different sectors. The content is unknown, but the timing suggests readiness for synchronized movement. Aaron nodded slightly. That is correct, he said. Our fleets are in contact with one another. If an attack occurs in one sector, others will move to support it. We are no longer scattered. We are connected. For a moment, the chamber was utterly still. The implication was clear. Any strike against one human settlement could bring an immediate and overwhelming response from multiple directions. Idrax's voice cut through the quiet. And what will you say when the first human ship crosses into another member's territory? Without approval, will you call that defense too? Aaron's answer came without hesitation. If that ship crosses into your territory because you have attacked our people, then yes. That will be defense. The room's tension thickened. Delegates from smaller Neutral worlds lean closer to listen for them. The sight of a young power standing so firm against older, larger states was something they rarely witnessed in the council. Aaron let his gaze sweep the tiers once more. We did not bring our fleets here to frighten you. We brought them to show that we will not live in fear for too long. The council's rules have been used against us. While those who broke them face no consequence, that ends now. He placed his hand lightly on the sealed device still on the stand. This link can open direct communication with any of our fleet commanders, if proof is needed that they are in position. I can't show you right now. A few voices called for him to do so, others for him to refrain. Vron raised the scepter, bringing quiet again. It is not necessary at this moment, the speaker said. The council has heard enough to understand Earth's capabilities. Aaron inclined his head in acknowledgement, but his eyes remained steady. Then you also understand. He said that this is not a request for protection. It is a notice. That we already have it. The words landed in the chamber like the final note of a long, tense chord. No one moved to challenge them directly. Even those who opposed Earth's actions seemed to recognize that the fleets were not an empty boast. Beyond the crystal dome, the sky of Valon Prime remained bright and calm. But in the minds of many delegates, the galaxy's map had just shifted. The borders they thought secure were no longer lines only they could cross without resistance. Vron spoke at last. The council will deliberate on the matters presented. Until then, Earth's representative will remain in Valon Prime under diplomatic protocol. Aaron gave a short nod. I will remain, he said, and I will listen. As the chamber began to move into recess, the delegates spoke in low voices once again, but the tone had changed. The quiet certainty that Earth would accept whatever judgment the council delivered was gone. In its place was a new calculation, one that measured every decision against the presence of human fleets already in the deep reaches of space. Aaron stepped down from the platform, the sealed device secure in his hand. He knew the council's decision would not come quickly, but he also knew that whatever they chose, they would make that choice knowing Earth no longer stood alone at its borders. The great chamber of the Galactic Council hummed softly as delegates returned from recess. Tension remained thick, but now it was mixed with anticipation. The statement from Earth and the proof of their fleets had changed everything. The Council knew that ignoring Earth's demands was no longer an option. Aaron stood in a quiet corner of the chamber, watching the members take their seats. He had spent hours reviewing every detail of his presentation. Now he prepared for the next move. His people wanted peace, but peace on terms that respected their strength and rights. The council speaker, Vron, rose and spoke in his clear, calm voice. We have heard the reports and arguments from both sides. The council understands the seriousness of Earth's position. Before we proceed, we invite the representative of Earth to present any further proposals for consideration. Aaron stepped forward. His eyes met the faces around the chamber. Thank you, Speaker Vron. He said, I will speak plainly. Earth does not wish for conflict. We wish for a new agreement, one that ensures fairness for all members, including those who are still growing and learning their place in this galaxy. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. For too long, Earth has been treated as less than equal. Our resources and technology were shared freely, but our concerns were dismissed. We were expected to accept limits placed by others. Without question, that will not happen again. Aaron lifted the sealed device from the stand. I offer this proposal, a treaty that will guarantee mutual respect of borders, fair trade agreements, and shared defense responsibilities. In return, Earth will reduce its fleets from their current positions, and all members will recognize Earth as a full and equal partner in the Council. There was silence. Vron studied Aaron thoughtfully. This is a bold offer, Representative Cole. What guarantees do you provide that Earth will honor the treaty once these reductions occur? Aaron's expression remained steady. The same guarantees we ask of all members, transparency and mutual verification. The treaty will include inspections and communication channels to ensure compliance. We do not ask for blind trust. We ask for fairness based on facts. A delegate from the Royal Confederacy stood up. "This treaty seems reasonable," he said. "But how will you handle members who have already violated Council rules? Will Earth forgive them easily?" Aaron replied without hesitation. "Forgiveness is not the issue. Justice is. The treaty will establish a Council task force to investigate past violations and recommend consequences. No member is above the law. We expect the Council to act fairly and firmly." Salari of the Mirror's Dominion raised her hand. "Your fleets have demonstrated capability and readiness. Why reduce your positions now if you have so much power?" Aaron answered clearly. "Because power without trust builds walls, not bridges. We want peace, not war. Reducing fleets is a sign of trust, but that trust must be earned by respect from all sides." Vron nodded slowly. "The Council will consider this proposal seriously. However, some members may feel uneasy with Earth's rapid rise in strength and influence. How do you plan to ease their concerns?" Aaron's gaze scanned the room. "We will share technology and intelligence that benefits all members. We will open our communication networks to the Council. We will offer training and support to help others grow." This is not a threat, but an invitation to partnership. From the back of the chamber, a voice called out sharply, "And what if some refuse your offer and continue their actions against Earth?" Aaron's eyes did not waver. "Then Earth will defend itself. But we hope it will not come to that. The purpose of this proposal is to prevent conflict by creating clear rules that protect everyone." The chamber grew quiet again. Some delegates whispered among themselves. Clearly weighing the meaning behind Aaron's words, Vron finally spoke. "Representative Cole, your proposal will be discussed at length. The Council will meet in special sessions to negotiate the terms. Meanwhile, Earth's fleets will maintain their current positions until further notice." Aaron accepted the decision with a nod. "That is acceptable." As the session closed, several delegates approached Aaron quietly. Some expressed cautious support. Others asked questions about how Earth planned to handle specific situations. Aaron answered each calmly, aware that this moment was a turning point. The galaxy's future would be shaped here by how well members could find balance between strength and cooperation. Later, in the private chambers, Aaron contacted Earth's fleet commanders. "Hold your positions," he instructed. "Maintain readiness but avoid any provocative actions. The Council has the proposal. Now we wait for the response." The commanders confirmed. "Understood, sir. We remain vigilant." As night fell on Valon Prime, Aaron looked out at the city lights below. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in many cycles, hope filled the air. Earth was no longer a silent participant but a leader demanding respect. He thought about the long road ahead. Challenges would come, but so would opportunities. The treaty could bring peace, but only if the Council chose wisdom over fear. Aaron whispered to himself, "This is our moment to change the story, not just for Earth, but for all who believe in fairness and strength combined with steady resolve." He prepared for what was next. The Council chambers filled again for the final vote on Earth's proposal. Delegates from every corner of the galaxy gathered, their faces serious and voices low. The question was clear. Would the Council accept Earth's terms and allow a new beginning, or reject them and risk a greater conflict? Aaron stood quietly near the entrance, watching as members took their seats. He felt the weight of history pressing down, but also the hope for change that had grown from months of struggle and negotiation. Vron rose and addressed the assembly. "We have considered the proposal from Earth carefully. The question before us is whether we will move forward together as equals or remain divided by fear and mistrust." He paused, his crystal eyes reflecting the light of the chamber. All members will now cast their votes. A silence fell. Delegates activated their voting devices one by one. The results would not be quick, but all watched and waited. While the votes were counted, Aaron found himself reflecting on the journey. Earth had been underestimated for too long. The merciless attacks against its people, the dismissals, and betrayals had shaped its resolve. But now, Earth had shown that it could stand tall, that it would not be broken. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the announcement came. "The Council has voted to accept Earth's treaty proposal." Vron declared. The terms will be enacted immediately, and a new era of cooperation will begin. The chamber erupted in a mixture of applause and murmurs. Some delegates smiled with relief. Others with cautious hope. Aaron stepped forward to address the assembly. "This is not the end," he said, "but the start of a new chapter. We will build trust, strengthen bonds, and protect all members fairly. Earth's strength will be used not to dominate, but to defend and uplift." He looked across the room. "We owe this to the future generations of every world represented here. Let us work together, with respect and courage." As the meeting closed, delegates moved toward one another, exchanging words of encouragement and plans for cooperation. The long struggle had brought change. But now the real work began. Outside the chamber, Aaron received messages from Earth's fleets. The commanders reported that all ships were standing down from alert status, returning to patrol duties within agreed boundaries. The tension that had gripped the galaxy began to ease. Later, in a private meeting with Varan, Aaron discussed the future, the Council's acceptances of victory, but also a challenge, he said. "We must prove that Earth's power is a force for peace." Varan nodded. "Your people have made an impression. Now you must help others see the strength and unity." The speaker's words echoed in Aaron's mind as he prepared to return home. He knew that Earth's rise was not just about power, but about leading by example. Months later, Earth hosted its first council delegation in the capital city. Representatives from the Mirror's Dominion, Jalan Union, Raal Confederacy, and other worlds arrived to witness Earth's progress and share knowledge. Aaron welcomed them with hope. "We have come far," he said, "but our journey continues. Together, we will create a galaxy where no one fears being small or unheard." The visitors marveled at Earth's technology, its culture, and the resilience of its people. They saw a planet transformed not by conquest, but by determination and fairness. As the delegation departed, Aaron stood on a hill overlooking the city. The stars above shone brighter than ever, and the future seemed wide open. He smiled, knowing that Earth's merciless retaliation had not been about destruction, but about demanding respect. The galaxy had listened, and now it was time to build a better world for all.